Welcome back to ZNGP Today. MotoGP legend Giacomo Agostini has offered a no-nonsense take on the current state of MotoGP, addressing the seismic impact of Marc Márquez at Ducati, the struggles of Francesco Bagnaia, and where the championship may be headed next. Speaking to Dentro ILGP, Agostini didn't mince words, declaring that Márquez's dominance is neither boring nor surprising. He's simply proving what Bagnaia and others already knew, that he's the best. Fabio Di Giannantonio's story isn't one of meteoric rise. It's about survival, resilience, and personal conviction. The VR46 rider has endured some of the sport's harshest uncertainties, including being pushed out by Marc Márquez's arrival at Gresini, injuries, and nearly missing out on a MotoGP seat altogether. But as he tells MOWMag, his climb back wasn't about grand gestures. It was about small wins, faith in himself, and a refusal to be anything but authentic. The transfer market whispers are growing louder, but the Pertamina Enduro VR46 racing team has brought some clarity to its 2026 plans. While confirming contact with Red Bull KTM's Pedro Acosta, team director Alessio Solucci insists Franco Morbidelli remains the priority moving forward. While the spotlight in MotoGP remains on factory heroes and title contenders, Augusto Fernandez is quietly laying foundations for Yamaha's long-term revival. Now serving as a full-time test rider, the former Moto2 champion and gas racer is playing a vital role in Yamaha's 2027 project. His wildcard outing at the Czech Grand Prix may have ended in a last-place finish, but it delivered precisely what Yamaha needed: data, direction, and Fernandez's honest feedback. Don't forget to click subscribe button and the bell icon for MotoGP news update. Marc Márquez's move to Ducati has electrified the 2025 season. With a commanding string of victories, including both sprints and Sunday races, the number 93 rider has reignited debates about who is truly the best of the modern era. Agostini believes the answer is already clear. Maybe some hadn't understood that Márquez is strong. He's always been strong. Now with Ducati, which is a great bike, he feels at home. He told me he's happy, professional and friendly team environment. Ducati has one of the greatest ever. Agostini likened Márquez's success to a typhoon that has swept through the Ducati ranks, pulling focus away from other riders like Bagnaia, Alex Marquez, and Di Giannantonio. He stressed that Márquez hasn't just joined Ducati, he's taken control of it. Francesco Bagnaia, a two-time MotoGP world champion, has found himself outpaced and outshined by Márquez. Yet Agostini defends Bagnaia's awareness of the situation, noting that Pecco always knew what was coming. Bagnaia knew Márquez is the greatest. He's not stupid. He's a champion too, but this year Marc has been in top form, hungry, and he wants to prove he's still the best. According to Agostini, Márquez's hunger is what separates him. There's no riding to finish. It's always all or nothing. And that mentality, paired with Ducati machinery, has made him nearly unstoppable. Despite Márquez's dominance, Agostini offered hope for challengers. He pointed to a mix of youth and experience, mentioning Fabio Quartararo, Marco Bezzecchi, and Fermin Aldeguer as names to watch. Quartararo is lacking a bike, but that could change this winter. Aldeguer has been very strong, and Bezzecchi too. And we shouldn't forget Bagnaia. There are rumors he might leave, but if he stays, that's good for Ducati. Agostini emphasized that in MotoGP, machinery is as critical as talent. Good riders need good bikes. He reminded. It's not just about who rides, it's about what they're riding. Turning to another hot-button topic, Agostini addressed Jorge Martin's indecision over staying with Aprilia or jumping ship to Honda. While money might have tempted him, Agostini believes the decision to stay was logical. Martin saw what Aprilia has, and what Honda doesn't. Technically, Aprilia has been faster. If money is set aside, staying makes sense. Looking further ahead, Agostini offered a surprising prediction for the 2027 championship, which will see new regulations come into play. If I had €5 to bet, I'd put them on Quartararo with Yamaha. He'll be able to fight Marquez. Honda might come back strong in 2027, but for now, Aprilia is ahead. Giacomo Agostini's reflections blend reverence for the past with clear-eyed insight into the present. For him, Marquez's reign isn't a surprise, it's a return to form. And while challengers are circling, they'll need more than raw talent to bring down the rider who, in Agostini's eyes, has already proven he's still the king. At the end of 2023, Di Giannantonio was at a crossroads. Marquez's signing had pushed him out of Gresini, and with no contract in sight, his MotoGP future hung in the balance. But a late-season victory in Qatar flipped the script. I'm very stubborn. I turn that into something positive. If I set my mind to something, I'll overcome everything and everyone to get there. Now, in 2025, he finds himself riding a GP25 for the factory-supported VR46 team, proving that betting on himself paid off. While Marquez and Bagnaia have dominated headlines, Di Giannantonio's season has been about quiet growth. Riding a Ducati GP25, he acknowledges the transition was enormous, compounded by an off-season injury that derailed testing. The winter didn't help. I didn't train on the bike and missed testing. We had to take the first few races easy. We made mistakes, but now I feel confident again. I can ride how I want. Importantly, he has no regrets about not riding the GP24. For him, all focus has been on optimizing what he does have. I'm convinced Ducati wants their official riders to finish first, second, and third. For me, the best package to win races is the GP25. The turning point in Di Giannantonio's career came not from the paddock, but from his own mindset, one tested when he was on the verge of being left out of MotoGP altogether. Yet he took a leap of faith, literally. I wanted to buy a house. People told me to wait, to get something smaller. I bought it anyway, not knowing how I'd pay for it. I said I'll manage. That decision wasn't just about property, it reflected his approach to life. Trust, persistence, and self-belief. Di Giannantonio draws a parallel between his own media challenges and the scrutiny Pecco Bagnaia now faces. His solution? Retreat inward. When everyone doubted me, I narrowed my circle. I stopped using social media, not out of depression, but because I wanted only positive energy. My great victory came from many small ones. For Fabio, true joy came from the ordinary, friendly nods at his neighborhood bakery, quiet time with friends. These moments grounded him and fueled his resilience. More than anything, Di Giannantonio takes pride in staying true to who he is, even when it's hard, even when it causes friction. I've had arguments with those close to me for staying true to my way. My father taught me to be professional and fair. I've tried to do that, but in my way, with my values, my education. That's how I want to win, in my own way. Fabio Di Giannantonio's rise is less about podiums and more about perseverance. In a paddock that often rewards image and conformity, his story is a reminder that individuality still has a place in MotoGP. And for Fabio, winning on the track means little if he can't also win on his own terms. For months, speculation has surrounded Pedro Acosta's future. Though contracted with KTM through 2026, the 2023 Moto2 champion has expressed dissatisfaction with KTM's performance this season. This opened the door, albeit slightly, for other teams to begin exploratory talks. Speaking to MotoGP.com, Uccio confirmed that Acosta reached out himself to inquire about VR46's situation for next year. Cellucci described the contact as brief and informal. "We spoke with Pedro about a month ago because he asked us about our situation for next year. I won't deny that we listened." Despite KTM's irritation over this flirtation, Cellucci was quick to downplay the seriousness of the talks, describing it as nothing more than a coffee. Though Acosta is one of the hottest names on the grid, VR46 appears set on continuity. Franco Morbidelli, who joined the team this season and remains part of the VR46 Riders Academy, has only signed a one-year deal for 2025. With his future open, VR46 is prioritizing a contract extension. "We're happy with Franco and will start talking to his management to find the right way to continue with him next year." Morbidelli has enjoyed a modest resurgence this year and remains a fan favorite, especially within the VR46 structure. Retaining him would offer stability and preserve the Academy's link to its premier class outfit. While a 2026 move appears unlikely, Cellucci left the door open for Acosta in 2027, when virtually every factory contract will expire. "We've already started discussions for 2027, and not just with Pedro. If you don't start talking now, the good riders will be gone." That timing aligns with a potential reshuffling across the grid, including factory teams like Yamaha, Honda, and Ducati. Uccio admitted that he finds it difficult to imagine Acosta stepping into a satellite team like VR46, given his trajectory and market value. Still, he didn't rule it out entirely. "I never say never. If the opportunity arises, we'll definitely talk about it next year." Behind all this maneuvering lies a growing issue at KTM. The Austrian manufacturer is enduring a frustrating season, with no Grand Prix wins and increasing pressure from rivals like Aprilia and Ducati. Acosta, despite being a rookie, has carried much of the team's promise, but the lack of results is reportedly causing friction. VR46's interest, however tentative, has not gone unnoticed, adding to KTM's internal headaches as they try to secure their brightest young star amid a competitive and fast-evolving rider market. For now, Acosta remains firmly under KTM's umbrella. But as the 2026 season approaches, VR46 is making it clear, while they're committed to Morbidelli for the short term, their eyes are also on the bigger picture. With the entire grid set to be reshuffled in 2027, no door is truly closed. Not even to a generational talent like Pedro Acosta. In 2025, Augusto Fernandez took a different path than most of his former Moto2 rivals. No longer in a race seat full-time, he now pilots Yamaha's development efforts, often from the back of the grid, but always with a purpose. Brno was one of those purposeful weekends. "It was a difficult race in a group. Happy with my laps, with my speed. I did the long lap, got back to the group, but I stayed there." Despite finishing last, Augusto's performance delivered insights Yamaha needed for future testing, particularly how the bike reacts in traffic and high tire load scenarios. Competing as a wildcard is unlike any regular race weekend. With less rhythm, limited setup time, and the pressure of delivering test data, not results, Fernandez had to recalibrate expectations. "I've been going at force marches every day, even the settings have evolved since Aragon. You want to try everything, and then Friday's rain ruined our plan." Still, Augusto took small victories from Brno, setting his fastest lap faster than Miguel Oliveira and Jack Miller's best laps, proof of the potential buried within Yamaha's evolving package. Augusto detailed where the Yamaha still struggles: acceleration in race traffic. "In the group, we suffer in acceleration. We can brake very hard, but we're coming from so far back it's difficult to capitalize." His analysis also exposed the positive. Yamaha's braking performance is strong, critical for a rider like Quartararo who thrives on corner entry precision. For Fernandez, finishing the race wasn't about results, it was about information. "At least I finished. We gathered information we didn't have yesterday. Now we head to Barcelona to keep working. After limited time on the bike and patchy weather, Augusto admits he's not yet at his best, but the signs are encouraging. I'm sure I'll be lacking pace by the end of the week, but we're getting closer. We can now test at a better pace, and that's important for the project we have in hand. In a paddock driven by podiums and headlines, Augusto Fernandez is working quietly behind the scenes. No glory, no fuss. But the test rider's role is essential, and Yamaha's hopes for a competitive 2027 depend on riders like him. With Brno in the books and more tests ahead, Fernandez isn't chasing trophies. He's building the machine that might. Thanks for watching ZNGP Today, and this is your MotoGP news update. And see you next time!